Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Mint One. I am Tyson Honecker, and today is a very special video. Myself and my friend Kelsey are going to be ranking the entire MCU. We're going to be ranking 38 projects that Marvel has done. We are leaving out the Guardians of the Galaxy Holiday Special. We are also leaving out What If, and we are leaving out Werewolf by Night. And I am Groot. So, without further ado, Kelsey, how are you feeling about this MCU ranking?
Oh, I always switch everything around, but today I'm feeling pretty good about it.
Yes, we're going to be given our choices, our lists. So these are our opinions. Please let us know down below what you guys think of ours and what would you rank the MCU. So I will start giving my 38 and then you will give the 38 and vice versa. We'll do that all the way until number 1. So Kelsey, are you ready?
I'm so ready. Let's go.
All right, let's get started right now. So, number 38 for me is Thor: The Dark World. I think this is common for a lot of people. I really like the Loki relationship, and Thor's mom dying here gave the film a good emotional weight. But other than that, it fell flat. Malekith, the villain, is forgettable. The story is forgettable. Not that good. So, Thor: Dark World, number 38 for me.
Oh, well, funnily enough, that's my number 38 too.
There you
Go
go.
figure. I love Loki and Thor and their relationship. However, the storyline and the way that it was going just seemed like it was too over the top, too much to like go towards Lord of the Rings style stuff, and I just didn't like it. I think it was a placeholder just so they could get us to know the reality stone.
There you go. I agree with that. Number 37 for me is the new show She-Hulk. Now, this show was a sitcom. It was supposed to be funny. For me, it did not do that. It did not grab my attention. The first episode I thought was really good. I did like the Daredevil relationship, and the fourth wall breaking, I wasn't the biggest fan of. I get why that happened, but I wasn't the biggest fan. And overall, the story just fell flat. I felt Abomination was kind of wasted in this film. Wong was kind of cool but pointless. I just didn't like the story overall. I'm excited to see where its character goes, but overall, unfortunately, the show did not work for me because it wasn't funny to me. So She-Hulk is 37.
37 for me is only because I haven't seen it properly since it came out. And it's Hulk, Incredible Hulk. So I really like Bruce Banner, played by Mark Ruffalo. I didn't like I don't know, I just didn't like who Eric Bana when he played him, but I love Mark Ruffalo. I want
Edward
Mark
Norton
Ruffalo to
played
have
him in this
his
one.
own. Oh, it was the Incredible Hulk.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, whatever. You know what I meant.
That's why it's 37.
Yep.
Forgettable. All right. All right. Number 36 for me is Black Widow. Now, unfortunately, it's pretty low on my list. I was really excited for this film, for Scarlett Johansson to finally bring Black Widow, the first solo film, but unfortunately, the story for me did not work. Again, Taskmaster, the villain, not great. For me, I like David Harper as Red Guardian. I like Florence Pugh's introduction as Yelena. But overall, again, the action was subpar. We've seen it before. It wasn't anything special, and I think it's because this movie just came out too late. So unfortunately, Black Widow is 36.
For me, number 36 was Falcon and the Winter Soldier, which
Ooh.
to a lot of people is surprising if they know me, because I love Bucky and I love the Falcon. However, I didn't like the storyline of that show, and I didn't like where they brought in some of the characters, where they went with the characters that we knew. I loved Bucky and Sam's relationship, but everything else kind of fell flat for me, and I just couldn't get into it.
Okay. All right. Well, we'll see that a little bit higher on my list, but I understand your reasonings. Number 35 for me is Thor: Love and Thunder. This was a huge disappointment for me in the theater in July of 2022. I expected a lot from Taika Waititi and failed. The humor was way too much in this film. This was the huge negative of this movie. It was oversaturated and it fell flat because of it. It did not give justice to Jane coming back as Lady Thor. I was very excited for that. It did not work at all in this movie. I was really excited to see Gore the God Butcher, played by Christian Bale. They wasted him in this movie, did not give him enough screen time. He was the best part of this movie. They made Thor feel like a comedic character. It just did not work at all. Too much of a comedy that wasn't funny. So Thor the Dark World, Thor Love and Thunder, pretty low for me.
That's also my number 35. I felt like this story was too comedic. It landed on Korg's storytelling too much. And I feel like that was something that just it was just too much of a try to be a comedic relief type thing. So I didn't love it.
Same here, same here. 34, though, some people might be surprised. It's The Incredible Hulk. I like this movie a lot more than normal people who like the MCU. And I don't know why exactly. It's just for me, it works. I like the action done. I like Abomination. I like the Blonsky storytelling in this movie. I did like Eric, I almost said Eric Bana like you. I did like Edward Norton in this role, although I do prefer Mark Ruffalo. But I liked the story that was done here actually between General Ross and Liv Tyler, who played Betty Ross. I thought it was actually pretty well done. It is forgettable, but Incredible Hulk's not as bad as everybody thinks it is.
My 34 is because I only watched it once and I watched it expecting to see some of the people that I already knew in the MCU. It is Eternals. I did not really get into that film. I had a hard time getting pulled in. And so I don't think I even finished it the first time I watched it because I got bored. So, DNF on that one.
Yeah, the critics agree with you. They didn't really like it either. Coming in for me, number 33 is Captain Marvel. I really wanted to like this movie. I don't find myself wanting to go back and rewatch it. I actually did see where this film was shot at some points with Kelsey out in Los Angeles. She showed me some of the sites that they filmed, but unfortunately, that didn't make me like the film more. The best part is Samuel L. Jackson's Nick Fury and Carol Danvers' relationship here. I thought was pretty darn good, as well as the Skrulls, Talos. I love him. But other than that, pretty forgettable for me. I didn't like Jude Law as the villain. So again, Captain Marvel, pretty low for me.
My 33 was the TV show Hawkeye. While I love Hawkeye and a lot of people just don't, the TV show was kind of meh for me. And I mean, I love the introduction to Kate. She's played by Haley and I love her so much, but the storyline is what kind of threw me off, and I'm really big about story and where it goes, and so the TV show just kind of was but when they brought in Kingpin, that got me excited to go back into Daredevil's world, so I'm excited to see him pop back up in the world.
All right, well, my number 32 is the original Thor. Now, this was great introduction to Loki. It was a pretty good introduction of Thor. They went really Shakespearean with this film. It kind of worked, but yet didn't work for me. I thought the villain, the final fight was lacking for me when I go back and rewatch this film. Really liked Heimdall, played by Idris Elba. He's one of my favorite side characters in this universe, but overall the story was pretty lackluster. I didn't really like Darcy or even Jane in this film. Eric Selvig was okay, but so Thor is number 32.
My 32 is Ant-Man and the Wasp. That one kind of again fell flat for me story wise. I liked the introduction to the Wasp with Evangeline Lilly. However, honestly, I can't even remember the storyline, so that's why I put it so low on this list. But I love Ant-Man in general, but that one just kind of just didn't get it for me.
Yeah, I get that because my number 31 is Ant-Man and the Wasp. Everything you said, A plus. My favorite thing about this film is the post-credit scene where everybody gets dusted. And that's not even a part of the movie, in my opinion. The post-credit scenes aren't. So it was just too much of a comedy, and the funniness, it just didn't work for me. I didn't like the villain Ghost at all. So again, Ant-Man and the Wasp, like you said, just didn't work for me.
My 31 is Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania. I did not get into this one hardly at all. I just felt like they were going too over the top with all the stuff that they were doing. It felt too much like they were trying to reach into Star Wars world with all of the different creatures that they created. And I just, while like there were some funny moments and I liked some things that happened, I just was thrown off a lot, and MODOK really threw me off. So I just didn't really love it.
Yeah. Well, funny enough, my 30 is Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania. Oh my gosh, like this film was garbage besides Kang. Kang, played by Jonathan Majors, outstanding. Obviously, the best part of the film. The acting from all the other actors, I thought, with what they were given, they did an amazing job. But the story, it was so disappointing. I have a spoiler review up on the channel for this movie if anybody wants to go check it out. But yeah.
Yes.
Moving on to your 30.
My number 30 is Captain Marvel. I really enjoy the character of Captain Marvel, and I feel like Brie didn't really have her potential of being that character because she was in whatever stasis she was as not being herself. So I feel like she didn't have the potential that she could have in that film. I liked it enough to watch it again, but I didn't love it a whole lot. I love Samuel L. Jackson in that movie too. So
Exactly. 100%. My 29 is Hawkeye. You named it a little bit back. I love the character of Hawkeye as well. Jeremy Renner does an amazing job. Hope he is healing fast and doing well. But this show for me, it did work. I liked that it took place during Christmas time. I thought the action was brilliant. I liked the introduction of Kingpin. I'm excited to see where they go with that character, like you said, and where they go with this Kate Bishop character. I think they set this up really well. And I thought this was great to see the side of Clint Barton, the family side as aspect of him as well. So I thought it was a good show.
my number 29 is Black Widow.
Mm-hmm.
I was really hopeful for this film because I love Black Widow, and I was really excited to see her backstory and like where she came from. And I love Florence Pugh and the Red Guardian and all of that, but I don't think they did the Taskmaster well, and they can't use him again in the future. So it's just like, well, I guess I have to deal with it.
Yes. It will be interesting because Taskmaster is actually in Thunderbolts. So it'll be interesting to see where they go with that character.
Okay.
Yeah, I know. It didn't really work. 28 for me is Falcon and the Winter Soldier. I rewatched the show a couple months ago. I liked it more on my rewatch, and it's mostly because I like the character of Falcon, of Sam Wilson, and of Bucky Barnes as well. And their relationship is in this in this show is the best part to me. I love the experience we get to see of Sam going through the stages of becoming Captain America at the end, in that entrance with his suit. Oh, I love his suit at the end of this movie. And I love the therapy scenes as well between Bucky and Sam when they have that therapist in there.
The
So
chair.
yeah, in the chair. It's so good. So I really like this show a little bit better than I thought I did. So it's where Falcon and the Winter Soldier plays for me.
All right. My 28 was Shang-Chi. I did like the film, and I really liked the main character in that film, but it just felt like they were trying too hard again with the otherworldly stuff, with the like CGI and all of that stuff. I just felt like it was just too much of that, where they could have done more of a storyline with him. But
Yes, I agree with you, because 27 for me is also Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings. I liked this character. I thought it was a good introduction. Aquafina was great. Loved the brilliant Michelle Yeoh in this movie. And Tony Leung for the dad, the villain in this movie. I thought the actual Mandarin, amazing. He was my favorite part of this film. The story didn't grab me as much as some other people, but the hand-to-hand combat scenes, the fighting scenes in this movie, I thought were done well. That bus scene is phenomenal. But I thought it was a good movie to the MCU.
Yeah. My 27 is the original Doctor Strange. I love Doctor Strange the character. I thought that, him bringing him into the MCU was brilliant, and I love how they did that. But the movie itself, I don't think I've rewatched it since I watched it the first time, and usually that's how I kind of rate a film, is if I rewatch it. It didn't work for me. I love Doctor Strange. I just don't like the movie.
That's fair. That's fair. Number 26 for me is Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. I liked this movie, but I didn't love it, and I was disappointed by it. I was excited for Sam Raimi to kind of take it on a horror turn. I thought he did pretty well with that. I love that Scarlet Witch was the villain of this movie. I thought that was done brilliantly, and Elizabeth Olsen acted beautifully. And of course, I love seeing John Krasinski in here as Mr. Fantastic, as well as the other members of the Illuminati, Patrick Stewart back as Professor X. But overall, the story just kind of fell flat for me still. But I did like the addition of America Chavez in this movie.
I disagree with you on that one a little bit, but we'll get to that when I get there. My number 26 is Iron Man 2. I'm not sure why this one is so low on my list, other than the fact that I like the other ones better. The other Iron Man storylines better. This one, while obviously Tony Stark is fantastic and Robert Downey Jr. is a great actor, I just don't love that one as much as I love the other ones.
Yeah, that's all there is to it. Number 25 for me is Black Panther: Wakanda Forever. I just rewatched this one actually a couple days ago. Not as disappointing as it was when I first walked out of the theater. It did get a little bit better for me on the rewatch. I love the introduction of Namor. I love Angela Bassett in here as Queen Ramonda. I hope she gets that Oscar for Best Supporting Actress. But overall, the story wasn't great. I felt the characters were wasted, like Okoye and M'Baku especially. I didn't love that Shuri became Black Panther. I just don't think that journey was complete enough. I do think they should have recasted T'Challa, and I think you can feel that presence missing in this film. It just didn't work for me as much as I wanted it to, so that's why it places where it does.
My 25 is the original Thor. I love the introduction of Thor and Loki in this movie. However, the storyline, again, I always come back to that.
Yes.
There was just, as much as it obviously brought Thor, down a couple pegs on the stuff that he needed to be brought down on. Yeah, I don't know. It just didn't work as well as I wanted it to, but I still love Thor.
Right. Yes, we still love Thor for sure. Number 24 for me is the original Doctor Strange. I actually really love this movie, and I think it's one of the best origin stories for a superhero. Just to see how selfish Stephen Strange was, and he goes through this whole transformation with the Ancient One, which I thought was brilliant. Wong, I love Wong in this movie. And I love Dormammu and how they bring that whole storyline together. Mads Mikkelsen in here as well, I thought was a brilliant addition. Rewatching this movie, I like it more and more. Yeah, Doctor Strange, the original one. Check it out. I really like it.
My number 24 is the TV show She-Hulk. I actually really liked the comedy in this show. I really liked Jennifer, and I just liked the banter back and forth. I love Daredevil with all of my heart. He's almost on the same level as Captain America for me. So bringing him back in the way that they did was brilliant. Can't wait to see where they bring him in and where She-Hulk will fit into the MCU as well.
Yes, that's true. All right, my number 23, I believe is the number. My number 23 is Eternals. I really like this movie, and I like how different it was from what we normally get in an MCU film. I thought the direction by Chloe Zhao was brilliant. The teaser poster of this movie is one of my favorite teaser posters of all time. And I liked each individual character. One of my favorites being Gilgamesh and his relationship with Athena. Their friendship I thought was very, very powerful in here. Icarus, played by Richard Madison, I thought was brilliant as well. I liked the Celestials in this movie, and I'm very excited to see where they go with this cosmic group of Eternals. So I'm looking forward to their next adventure.
My 23 is the TV show Miss Marvel. This one was liked by a lot of people, and for me, it just didn't work as well as some of the other stuff. I love the character of Miss Marvel, but I feel like they saturated her fangirling a little too much. Even though I am a huge fangirl of a lot of things, her family dynamic and everything was great, but it just didn't hit a home run for me.
Okay. Interesting. I don't agree, but that's okay. My number 22 film
Obviously.
is Iron Man 2. I like this movie a lot more than normal people because Iron Man here, he's my favorite character. The introduction of Black Widow, Nick Fury coming in, I thought was done brilliantly. The relationship between Rhodey, who was played by Don Cheadle for the first time in this film, and Tony, I thought was also done beautifully. It's a cool bromance that they got going on. And Tony's suit up that he has on that racetrack with Whiplash is one of the best Iron Man suit ups of all time for sure. The relationship with Pepper grows in this movie, and we see Tony Stark dive into the past with his father. I think that's a really cool moment. So Iron Man 2, I like it a lot more than other people, even though the villain is not that great.
My 22 is Black Panther Wakanda Forever. I did really like a lot of the characters in this film. However, one that I just didn't think needed to be in it at all was Ironheart. That was the one thing that I was like, I don't understand why she's even here. It could have been any scientist that they picked to build that thing. I don't know why it had to be her. Namor is one of my favorite villains of this phase. I really want him to come back, and I hope that he does because he's fantastic. I love Letitia Wright. I do not think that she should have become the Black Panther as Shuri. I really wanted them to use Okoye and M'Baku a lot more, like you said. But yeah, that's where that's on my list.
I agree with everything you said there. All right, number 21 for me is Loki. I thought this was a pretty good TV show. Gave us the introduction to He Who Remains, aka Kang. But the relationship of Loki going through to find himself, to find his true self, I think was done brilliantly. And of course, it makes sense that he is in love with a version of himself, Sylvie. Owen Wilson is great in this series. Very excited to see where season 2 goes from here.
Same. It's very close on my list to yours, but my number 21 is the Multiverse of Madness, Doctor Strange.
Yes.
I really liked Wanda in this film. She was fantastic. She did great. America was great. Obviously Doctor Strange is fantastic too. I really liked the zombie that they brought in for this film because it made me laugh more than anything, which I don't normally like zombies, but this one for some reason made me laugh. But yeah, I really liked this. I didn't love how they had to rearrange the release of this film with the TV show WandaVision. However, for the most part, this was really cool, and I liked how they did that Multiverse of Madness. And the music scene was so cool.
That is true. It was pretty cool. All right, coming in at number 20 for me is Captain America: The First Avenger. I know you're a big champion of this film. However, I really liked it. I did. I like all these films. You know, Red Skull was a great villain. The introduction of the Tesseract was cool. Steve Rogers and Bucky Barnes, their bromance, their friendship was amazing. Haley Atwell as not Captain Carter, but Agent Carter in this film was great. I love their relationship. It's one of the best in the MCU. I think it is a beautiful film that I keep on liking more and more every time I rewatch it.
That's good to hear, at least.
Yeah, there you go.
My number 20 is Guardians 2. I love the Guardians of the Galaxy. They're fantastic. And I actually, when I was making this list, Guardians was pretty close to the bottom, but I moved it up quite fast.
Okay. All right. Good.
I rethought about everything because I really like Baby Groot. I really like, obviously, all of the Guardians. I love the introduction to Mantis. The only reason I didn't love this film as much as I love the other Guardians is because I didn't like Ego. Kurt Russell is great. I just didn't like Ego. So it just didn't hit home for me. So that's why it's so where it's at.
Yeah. I think that's pretty good. Number 19 for me is Spider-Man: Far From Home. This is the weakest Spider-Man film, in my opinion. I didn't really love Mysterio. Yeah, it gave Spider-Man a pretty grave challenge, and made him question a lot of his morals, I believe. I don't love Nick Fury in this film, and then turning him into a Skrull, I don't really like that storyline. The monsters that he has to fight that are all these drones, I thought was lazy storytelling. And then the MJ relationship though in this movie I thought was pretty damn good. I think it was the best part of this movie for sure, and it does keep him grounded to that teenage male that we're supposed to kind of resonate with in the MCU.
My number 19 is the TV show Loki. I love Tom Hiddleston, love him as Loki,
Mhm.
love everything that he brought to that character, and watching him grow in that character, just bringing him to life even more. Like having his own TV show like that is huge. And I really loved how they did that with the whole time, like I just timeline just being messed up and him trying to fix it with the Owen Wilson who freaking killed in that show. So I just really liked how they told that story and how they brought Sylvie in as his love interest, which is just a version of him. He's such a narcissist and makes sense.
Yes. Yes, it does for sure. All right, so my number 18 is WandaVision. I do really like this show. However, it took me a while to get into it. The first 3 episodes for me weren't necessarily my cup of tea, although Agatha is definitely the standout here. Catherine Hahn killed this role. It was great to see Vision back. He is one of my favorite characters. And like you said, the Wanda storyline in this film I really did enjoy. The finale was good, but yet a little bit lacking. The Quicksilver character I wasn't really a big fan of. And White Vision, where are you? So WandaVision, it's good, but where's it gonna go? I hope we will find out soon.
Yeah. My 18 was Ant-Man. I love Ant-Man and I love this film, and I know that that hurts you. Paul Rudd is fantastic as Ant-Man, and it's not because it's not a good movie. It's not, that's not the reason that it's at number 18. It's
Right.
because the other films in front of it I would watch before this one. It does make me laugh. I love all of the characters in these films. But it's honestly, there's nothing wrong with it. It's just at that level because there's other movies I like better.
All right, that's fair. That's fair. Number 17 for me is Miss Marvel. I love this show. Oh my gosh, her family in this movie is amazing. My favorite thing about this show, her family finds out that she has these superpowers. I feel like that never happens, and I feel like that's I don't know. I feel like how they did it here is something very fresh and new, and I am so excited they did that. I think it's gonna be great for the future of Miss Marvel. I think it's going to be a huge story component in whatever is next for her. Of course, we're seeing her in the Marvels, which I'm very excited about. And I think this show just was brilliant in its storytelling, and it really carried through all the way to the end, which is what these Marvel shows sometimes struggle with, is the ending. Is can they stick the landing? They definitely did here with Miss Marvel. I'm excited for the future of Kamala Khan. I love this show.
My 17 is Iron Man 3. Um, I really like this film. I like it more than the second one, mostly because of how they portrayed anxiety through Tony Stark and the
Yeah,
way that they actually brought that into the story, and he killed it. Like just killed it, showing how much anxiety affects people the way that it does.
right.
I really also liked all of the suits that they had. I liked the storyline, the way they had Pepper in a lot of trouble getting into that whole thing with the bad guy. You're much better with names than I am, so I'm just gonna pretend, like I know what I'm talking about and you can understand, I'm sure.
I
But
understand
I
what
I,
you're
I
saying.
really liked the storyline of Iron Man 3, and I really liked the introduction of the little kid Harley. Um,
Yes.
he's one of my fave like kid characters in the MCU.
Well, I get what you're saying, and I'm going to talk about it now because number 16 for me is Iron Man 3.
Yeah.
The bad guy being played by Guy Pearce. I actually don't remember his name in the movie. Aldrich Killian. I do remember his name.
Killian.
Uh,
Yeah.
but however, I really like this movie a lot. Like you said, how they handled anxiety for Tony Stark is great. They focus a lot on Tony Stark here, which I think they needed to do after the events of the Avengers, the first one. We see the effects it has on this person. He went to space. Of course, he's never done that. That's insane. It's something we see him processing that. It affects his marriage, it affects his life, it affects his friendships. Rhodey in this movie is amazing. The Mark 42 suit, I love how it just comes to him. The fake Mandarin thing did actually work for me. Ben Kingsley in this is phenomenal. So yeah, I
Mhm.
like this movie. I think we both like this movie a lot more than normal Marvel fans, the general public of Marvel fans do. But we like it because it's a Tony Stark story.
My number 16 is Spider-Man Far From Home, also my lowest Spider-Man film. While I love obviously everything that Tom Holland does as Spider-Man, it was very weird with the drones. I didn't love how they did that with the storyline. I think you're right. It was very bad storytelling or like cheap. I don't know the wording you use, but I agreed with it and I just didn't
Yeah.
say anything.
Yeah.
But his relationship with MJ, I really loved. And I love that we got to see him struggle with the loss of somebody so close to him. And it was so moving and heartfelt, and Tom Holland played it brilliantly.
Right. No, I agree with you. My number 15 for me is Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. Like you said a little bit earlier, Baby Groot, fantastic. Mantis, amazing. The villain in this one, Ego, I did like. The father-son storyline between him and Quill, I thought worked great. Rocket was a standout in this one. Drax was funny. It was a very funny film. It didn't work as well as the first one for me, but overall it worked as a whole, and I'm excited to see where this trilogy wraps up here in the coming months for Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. So, Guardians 2, I really do enjoy it. It's number 15.
You forgot to mention Yondu. I also did.
Oh my gosh,
Yondu.
Yondu. Yes, sorry, Yondu. I'm Mary Poppins, y'all. How did I... That's my favorite scene. I know it doesn't
Iconic.
look like it, but it is my favorite scene. I love Yondu, and his death is
Secret.
so emotionally, it hits you right here.
Yeah.
Favorite part of Guardians 2.
Oh, love Yondu.
Yeah.
My number 15 is WandaVision. It's pretty, ours are pretty close coming
Yeah.
into this. But WandaVision for me, I really liked how they did it so differently. We didn't know what was happening, and that's what kept drawing me in. Just watching, the different decades go through with each episode, and something weird would happen just a little bit, and you're like, okay, wait, but what's going on? Because we didn't know what was going on. We had no
Right.
idea. I thought that was really cool. I thought that's how it dragged me in, was just like, I don't know
Okay.
what's going on, but I think I need to know. So, but yes, Catherine Hahn playing Agatha was fantastic. I
Mhm.
cannot wait for her show. I'm very
Yes.
excited where she
Gonna
goes.
be super, super good. Super good. Number 14 for me is Moon Knight. I love this show. It is my favorite MCU show. Oscar Isaac kills it in this role. How he handles all these different personalities he's juggling. I thought was brilliant. I really liked Khonshu in this movie. How they brought in the gods, I thought went really, really well. Ethan Hawke's character as Arthur was fantastic. I mean, just overall, how they handled like Egypt in this movie, it was really cool. I really like the history of Egypt, and it was really cool to see that kind of unveiled here in this show. So I'm very excited for the future of this character for sure. So Moon Knight ranks really high for me.
All right. My number 14 is Avengers Age of Ultron. This is my first Avengers movie that I've mentioned the whole time, surprisingly. Yep. I love the film. It was just one of the ones that, I would watch other films before it. Right. I like the introduction of Ultron, Tony's need to protect the world by putting a shield around it. I love, everything that kind of pops up. My favorite scene is the hammer scene where they're all trying to lift it up.
Yes.
And the fact that Steve Rogers can move it just a little bit.
Yes.
It gives us that good little foreshadowing for the future.
Mm-hmm.
But, I love the introduction of Wanda and her brother and just bringing them into the MCU. But like I said, it's not there for any particular reason other than the fact that I would watch other things above it.
That is true for sure. My number 13 is Avengers Age of Ultron as well. I mean, the one introduction you forgot to mention was Vision. We see Vision created
Yes.
here, and oh my gosh, like I said, Vision, one of my favorite characters. I thought it was an amazing, amazing introduction. Paul Bettany, I love you. James Spader as Ultron was menacing. I wish he would have gotten more screen time. I wish he was a little bit more menacing actually in this movie. But you see this the struggle between the Cap and Tony relationship start to build in this film, leading to Civil War, done brilliantly. It did kind of feel like they were trying to push too much into this film, like Thor in that tub or whatever with all the Infinity Stones. I didn't really like that part. But overall, I liked the introduction of Wanda and Quicksilver, and I thought it was done really well. And this film is better than a lot of people give it credit for. So Age of Ultron, not as bad as everybody says.
True. My 13 is the TV show Moon Knight, also my favorite TV show.
Yes.
So well done. Oscar Isaac is fantastic. The way that he plays both like the fact that he can just play two personalities on screen, talking to each other sometimes, is fantastic. Not a lot of actors can do that, but he does it brilliantly, and I'm excited to see how many more personalities he ends up with in the end. I love his suit, like the one with
Oh,
the whew, yeah. Anyways,
yeah.
so good.
So good. All right, so number 12 for me is Guardians of the Galaxy. This film has grown on me since I have seen it in 2014. I used to not like it as much, but now I love it. Of course, the music in this film is brilliant. I very much like actually Ronan in this film. I think he's a pretty good villain, and we get a little taste of Thanos in this movie, which I love. The addition here, and just getting this core group together, seeing this dysfunctional family start to build and love in a way is very interesting. And I think it's different. It's something the MCU needed to stand out. And I think they stuck the landing for sure.
My number 12 is also Guardians of the Galaxy.
There you go.
Everything you said is true. I love Gamora and how they each get tangled up with each other. It's not even like they don't purposefully come together. They just
Right.
accidentally fall together in this movie. And
Yep.
I love every part of it. I just love all of the characters. Peter Quill is one of my faves. He's hilarious. But yeah, I also love Guardians of the Galaxy. So.
Yes. Number 11 for me is Ant-Man. I love this film. It's so good. Okay, so my number 11 is Ant-Man. I love this movie. I think Paul Rudd does an amazing job bringing this character to life. Michael Douglas, Evangeline Lilly, Corey Stoll as Yellow Jacket, I think does a brilliant job. I love Yellow Jacket as a villain, and I love that their final fight, the Thomas the Train stuff at the end of this movie, phenomenal. It's phenomenal to see Scott Lang and care so much about his daughter. And I just love the family part of these Ant-Man films. So Ant-Man is number 11.
My number 11 is Spider-Man Homecoming. Again, like all of these films before this one, I will watch before I watch Homecoming, but I loved Homecoming. I loved the introduction as Tom Holland in this film. Vulture,
Walter, yeah.
great villain. And the reveal of her being her dad being the Vulture was fantastic. The way that they did that, it was unexpected completely. Very good reveal. But yeah, I love Spider-Man.
There you go. I agree. Now we're in our top 10 here. It's tough. These films are amazing, all of them, so much. It's hard to rank these top 10 for me. I don't know about you, but for me it is. But
Yep.
coming in number 10 for me is Spider-Man No Way Home. Now, I know this may be shockingly low for some people, but I still really love this film. Of course, seeing all of these villains, all these Spider-Man together. I mean, we got Tobey Maguire, Andrew Garfield, Tom Holland all together on screen, but William Dafoe back as Green Goblin. We got Doc Ock, Electro. I mean, come on, Sandman, Lizard make an appearance. This film is amazing. It serves the fans so well. Andrew Garfield, my Spider-Man, love it. And we see Tom Holland's Spider-Man lose so much in this film, but at the end of it, he chooses responsibility. He is a new Spider-Man, I would say, at the end of this film. And it worked really well for me. Spider-Man No Way Home, an amazing film. It's number 10 for me.
My number 10 is the Black Panther movie. I love the Black Panther. I love T'Challa. He was sorely missed in Wakanda Forever. And I really think that they should have recast him. But the original Black Panther movie, I love a lot. Killmonger as the villain is fantastic. Claw coming in and being that guy. Ugh, ugh. But I also love the introduction to everybody in that film. Black Panther's history, Shuri, all of that, and like introducing us to Wakanda is just fantastic. So I really like the film.
Yeah.
Again, it's not bad. I just watch other ones before it.
That's fair. And moving on to number 9 for me, sticking with Spider-Man, it is Spider-Man Homecoming. I do think this is the best Spider-Man film the MCU has done. It is an amazing introduction to the world of Peter Parker. We see Ned for the first time, MJ as well. The villain, Vulture, like you said, amazing. And that twist, I did not see that coming at all. And this film just puts a smile on my face every single time I watch it. And I love Homecoming.
Okay. My number 9 is Thor Ragnarok. Favorite Thor movie by far. Everything else, obviously, I talked about a long time ago. That came out of that movie. And obviously Loki coming back again.
Yeah.
Love Loki. Fantastic. The relationship with him and his brother is always fantastic, but in this movie it really builds more.
Number 8 for me is Thor Ragnarok. I love this movie so much, and it is because of Hela, played by Cate Blanchett, one of the best villains, I believe, in the MCU, hands down. The brother relationship between Thor and Loki, I thought worked perfectly here. The get help scene, I love that one. Valkyrie is a nice addition to the MCU. Odin's departure from the MCU is great. The Hulk part of this movie, I love as Gladiator Hulk. I love when him and Thor fight. Obviously, one of the best scenes of the movie. Taika Waititi did a brilliant job directing this film, bringing it all together. A new taste of Thor. We needed it, and I'm glad we got it.
Such a good film. My number 8 is my guy, Captain America, the first Avenger. All of his movies are in the top 8, okay? It's fine.
Okay.
I love Steve Rogers. I love the introduction to Steve Rogers and Bucky and their relationship and everything that happens from him being a scrawny kid to being this guy who still acts like the scrawny kid. And I love Chris Evans in the role of Captain America and Haley Atwell as Peggy Carter. Love it so much. I still have her costume to wear to Comic-Con this year.
Okay, so number 7 for me, this is getting tough, but number 7 is Black Panther. This movie is outstanding. It is the world building of Wakanda, coming into Wakanda. It's brilliant. It is beautiful. It is important. And Chadwick Boseman as T'Challa delivers on an enormous level. Ryan Coogler bringing this film to life. Michael B. Jordan as Killmonger, again, one of the best villains in the MCU. You can relate to him on a certain level. M'Baku, phenomenal character. Black Panther, an amazing film. It is number 7 for me.
Yeah. You will hate me for my number 7 because my number 7 is Endgame. Listen, you know I love this film, okay? However, the one reason it's not higher on the list than it is because they messed up Captain America's storyline. They just yanked it out from under him like a rug, and they shouldn't have done that. If anything, they should do a TV show on him returning the stones instead of becoming an old guy. I hated that. However, everything else about this film was fantastic. I love the big scene where everybody comes together through the portals. That song just gets me every time. Man, I need to go back and rewatch it. But I loved when he picked up Mjolnir. Hello? I screamed and jumped out of my seat every time I watched it. I still do. So that's why it's number 7.
All right. These films are hard when it gets to number 6 and on. They can interchange, but number 6 today for me is Iron Man, the film that started it all. Robert Downey Jr., absolutely born to play this character of Tony Stark. We see his journey throughout the entire MCU. It's done brilliantly. And then we get Jeff Bridges coming on in here for Obadiah Stane, a great first villain to the MCU. We get Rhodey, we get Pepper. We see the relationship between Pepper and Tony in this movie. It's brilliant, and it's one of the best relationships by far in the MCU. Probably my favorite one. Iron Man is number 6.
Oof. I can't believe I have Iron Man higher than you do.
I know.
Number 6 for me is the original Avengers. I really, honestly, there's no reason why it's number 6 other than the fact that the other movies I like better. But I love this film. I love the way that they all come together and fight, the big bad of the Shatari army. I love watching the relationships between all of them build, and Tony Stark bringing them all together. There's just so much to love about this film, how they all just connect and work together for the greater good. Yeah. And I love the movie. There's nothing wrong with it, like I said.
All right, number 5 for me is the original Avengers, the first big superhero team-up movie. Still stands up to this day. It is phenomenal. And of course, we have that amazing shot that we get of all six of the Avengers there at the Battle of New York. Brilliant. We see how these characters can work with each other. Loki as the villain is brilliant. It is such a phenomenal villain in this film. And his journey is interesting, but it starts here. It's just, he's so villainous. He's cruel. He doesn't really care. And I love that in Loki. Oh, this is the first movie I saw, the first MCU movie I saw in theaters. So it definitely has an emotional connection to me and made me want to go back and watch all the Phase 1 films. It's just, it's still a brilliant film and it holds up to this day.
My number 5 is Spider-Man No Way Home. I think the reason I loved this film so much is because I literally went in blind. I didn't watch the trailer for this film. Everything was a surprise to me. There were obviously things and stuff that were a little bit spoiled throughout with like Doc Ock coming back, but for the most part, I didn't expect anything that happened in that film, especially Spider-Man's. Hello, three of them.
Yep.
Andrew Garfield is my Spider-Man. He really is. I loved the way that they brought everybody together and that the old villains came and fought, and it was just yeah, I agree with the William Dafoe with as the Green Goblin. He just did phenomenal. And May, the way that she died, heartbreaking. And Spider-Man lost another person close to him, so it's so heart-wrenching to watch, but he does such a good job at displaying those emotions.
Yeah, definitely the best acted performance from Tom Holland there. And like you said, Andrew Garfield, he's my Spider-Man too. I love him. So number 4, we're getting into it. Number 4 for me is Captain America, the Winter Soldier. This is the first film directed by the Russo brothers, and they knocked it out of the park with this delivery. Wow, we have Bucky Barnes coming back as the Winter Soldier. Steve has no idea. And when that was revealed in the theater, I was like, I didn't expect that. That was crazy to me. And Alexander Pierce in this movie, played by Robert Redford, brilliant addition to the movie. Hydra is S.H.I.E.L.D. Did not see that coming. Brilliant. The action in this movie, the hand-to-hand combat scenes, it is some of the best. The relationship between Natasha and Steve in this film is definitely one of my favorites. And you can really see them connect on a personal level here. And then one of my favorite characters is introduced, Falcon, right here, Sam Wilson. It just gets better every single time I watch it. The spy thriller, it transcended the comic book genre, and it is truly, in my opinion, the best made MCU film. The Winter Soldier is great, and it's number 4 for me.
You know where that one sits on my list.
I do know where that is.
My number 4 is Captain America Civil War.
And you know where that sits on my list.
I do. But this one for me, I really, really love the storytelling of this whole film. I love the fight that they have, the tension between Iron Man and Captain America is done so well. The big airport fight scene is fantastic, and I love just watching our heroes just go against each other. And it's crazy to me that even is a thing that we would say, but it was really cool to see them all go against each other like that. I love how they all try to contain Wanda, and Wanda is like, no, I'm not gonna be contained. And she does really well. And everything that happens in this film, from War Machine falling from the sky and basically losing function of his legs, is just crazy. And then the scene between just Captain America and Iron Man fighting each other, and the fact that Tony thinks that Captain America is going to kill him, and in the last second when we think it's going to happen, he doesn't. He literally just slams his shield into his Iron Man suit to stop him from going anywhere. And it's so tense and insane, and I love it.
It's tense and insane. We'll see that soon on my list. All right, rounding out the top 3, we got Avengers Infinity War. This film killed it for sure, and it is a Thanos-driven movie, which is what I love most about this film. We get to finally see this mad titan that we've been building up for some 20-some movies. We've been building to this moment, and it definitely delivered. I love that we can resonate with this character, and we can actually understand why he's feeling the way he's feeling. And sometimes some people can think he's right. But eventually he wants half the universe gone, and he accomplishes that goal. It's the first time we see our heroes lose on a great scale, and it is a phenomenal character building moment for them. We see pain and fear in their eyes for the first time, and that is what I love most about this film. And just the scenes in Wakanda and Titan, and even the New York battles, like they stick out to you as some of the best in the MCU when you see Vision, Scarlet Witch making that emotional sacrifice, and then we find out it doesn't matter. He's just going to reverse and use the time stone. I mean, it's a emotional roller coaster that we go on in this film, and it is definitely pays off. So Avengers Infinity War, an amazing film. It is number 3 for me.
It's my number 3 as well.
All right.
I love this one more than I love Endgame because this one has so much more fight in it, and it's all the way throughout the film. From the beginning, we get fight after fight after fight, after so much action, and I love watching everybody fight their battles separately, and then at the end kind of coming together to defeat Thanos, but they can't. And it's like, it's insane to me that they did that. You're right. Like, they let the villain win. That's crazy. How often do you see a villain win at such a battle like that? And in the end, they lost half of the people. And it's just like watching them all dust away. The scene with Spider-Man was so emotional. He does so good with emotion. Anyways, it's my number 3 as well.
I mean,
oh, so good.
Brilliant. All right. So rounding out the top 2 for me, number 2 is Avengers Endgame, and this film is brilliant. I do have a huge emotional weight attached to this film. I was at the world premiere for this movie, and so was Kelsey. That is where we met for the first time. So this film has definitely changed my life in a significant amount of ways, for sure. And it does have a certain amount of bias because of that. But this film worked for me. It had some of the best action scenes I thought I've ever seen. Let's just talk about it right away. That portal scene, it's my favorite entire scene in the MCU. We see all of our heroes coming together. On your left, Falcon pops out, Cap's no longer alone. It's just one of the best done in the MCU. And one of my favorite characters, Natasha Romanoff, Black Widow, gets emotional send off in this film, sacrifices herself for the greater good, and we see her struggle so much in this film. She wants to fix it, and she found a way to do it. So definitely honor her, and of course Tony Stark giving up his life for the entire universe and giving up the life with his daughter and Pepper.
I got out of my seat.
My favorite character had an amazing send off in this film. It worked for me.
I mean, where to begin? On your
but one that didn't was Steve Rogers. I agree with you. I didn't love how they did Cap's storyline in this film. I don't think he would have gone back and spent the life with Peggy. So that definitely does leave a little bit of a sour taste in my mouth when I watch this film. And also not the biggest fan of what they did with Thor either, but I'm willing to overlook those two gripes that I have with the movie because of everything else working for me. Thanos, again, is a menacing villain. I think he's more menacing in this one than he's in Infinity War. He does not care anymore. He does not care if he's in your way. He will go right through you. And Tony Stark's character, one of the best villains of all time, for sure. It was done brilliantly. Avengers Endgame, which is why amazing film. Because it works for me all the time, and it always puts a smile on my face. And it's number 2 for me.
I'm okay with that. So I think that you'll be surprised by my number 2.
Oh, I really will be.
Iron Man, the original.
I can't believe it.
I know, and I can't believe that you didn't have it higher on your list. But this film for me, this was one of the films that I watched with my dad in theaters for the first time. It's the first movie we get into the MCU the way that we know it. Introducing him as this person, it just worked so well. Him being in that cave, building an Iron Man suit, we get to see the brilliance of Tony Stark with just his tools. He doesn't have all of his computer. He doesn't have Jarvis. He doesn't have anything that he's used to having. And yet he can still build this suit. That just tells you how much he knows. and how smart he really is to build this from scratch with just the blueprints of something else, just the parts from other things to just build this incredible suit and just escape out of there, and then ends up with his, cool Iron Man suit that he has, with the red and gold or whatever. And Obadiah Stane being the villain, I did not see that coming. There was absolutely no way I would have seen that coming. We know it now. That was 15 years ago. Oh my God, that was 15 years ago. I love him enough to put him in the number 2 spot.
Oh yes, we love Tony Stark around here. We love Tony Stark. Number 1 for me, though, surprisingly, maybe to you, is Captain America: Civil War. This movie is amazing. It's amazing, and it's because of the conflict between the top 2 characters in the MCU: Captain America, Iron Man, Steve Rogers, Tony Stark, going head to head and fighting kind of on the opposite side than we think they would. You got Tony Stark actually siding with the government, and then you got Steve Rogers being like, "Hey, no, we as Avengers, as super individuals, we should be able to go where we see fit." And these two, like, it's like a real life problem. I feel like it could be, and it's done so well. It translates beautifully on screen, and I think a lot of us can relate to it in real life. Which is why it resonates with so many people. You can just feel the dilemma, and you're on the edge of your seat for sure. It's kind of like a drama in some ways as well, and I think this movie definitely transcends the comic book genre. Um, I mean, can we talk about quick the introduction of Black Panther and Spider-Man? I think in this film is brilliant. How we see T'Challa come on in. We see that Black Panther suit appear for the first time on that rooftop chasing Bucky. Phenomenal. But overall, I still feel like this is a huge story for Tony Stark. We see that he finds out about how his parents were killed, and it was by Bucky, which is a huge surprise for me. I don't know about you, but it was a huge surprise for me sitting in that theater and realizing that. Before I talk about that battle, I want to talk about the one on the airport. Obviously, one of the best battles to ever happen in the MCU. We have Team Cap, Team Iron Man. I mean, come on. We, like you said, we see our heroes fighting each other. What? Who would have thought that? I think that is done brilliantly, and it is so exciting to see. I really like how Vision is used in this film. I mean, first of all, you see him kind of feel feelings for Scarlet Witch, and that ends up almost killing Rhodey. So that dilemma and that dynamic is really unique. I mean, and then of course the final battle, which is my favorite part of the whole entire movie. You see Steve Rogers fighting Tony Stark and fighting Bucky Barnes. I mean, that's really what's going on here. And Tony Stark is, he's whipping Winter Soldier's ass, blows off his arm. Obviously, that's killed his parents. I get his frustration in that and wanting to do it. Tony Stark feels also betrayed by his friend Steve Rogers, which is why he also kind of wants to kill him at the same time. He says Jarvis analyzes flight pattern. That's how you know fight pattern. That's how you know he is serious. And that battle between him and Cap is gut wrenching. It is thrilling. You are on the edge of your seat. You can't believe it's happening in front of your eyes. And like you said, he did think that Cap was going to kill him. I still believe that it was just Cap and Iron Man one-on-one. I think Iron Man actually would have won. He was fighting two super individuals, a little unfair, which is why I think he lost. But again, it's a Captain America movie. It's not an Iron Man movie. So I see that as well. I know you don't agree. That's okay. But overall, and also Zemo's thing for me, a lot of people are like, well, Zemo's kind of underused. He's not supposed to be the main villain here. There's not really the main villain is the dilemma of Team Cap versus Team Iron Man. That's really the villain. It's the problem that lies between those two sides. It's the problem of the Avengers tearing apart. And I think this film just exudes so much of what I love from the comic book genre, so much from movies, period. It's just one of my favorites of all time, and I will love this movie forever. So Captain America Civil War, I salute you.
The only reason that I think Iron Man still wouldn't win is because he's fighting with rage while Captain America is fighting to protect. And I feel like that's the only reason that I disagree that he would win if it was just him and Cap, because in the end it was just him and Cap. Bucky was on the floor without an arm. So that's why I disagree with that. Anyways, my number one is also a Captain America movie. Good old Winter Soldier.
No way. What?
Yeah, I know.
I'm
Surprise,
surprised.
surprise.
No.
Um, so I like this film is one that I will go back to. The way that they do this film, it's like a spy film with a bunch of action, but he's a superhero and he finds Bucky again. Like, come on, him realizing that he's fighting the Winter Soldier, who is his best friend. Like, hello, that's like one of the other best reveals of the MCU. It was just so cool to watch that whole thing play out. I love Black Widow coming into this film and playing alongside Steve Rogers. I just like their relationship with each other throughout that film is just so good, and we actually see that strengthen throughout that film. And I love Natasha so much. I think what makes this film so good for me is the soundtrack. Soundtracks have a lot of impact on the way I watch movies, and the soundtrack for this film is so well done. I don't run, but if I was listening to this soundtrack, I would run.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it gets the
I
blood
can
boiling.
run listening to this soundtrack because it's just so it's full of adrenaline and movement, and it's just I just want to keep going. But I love this entire film. I've loved it from the minute I saw it. I will watch. This is one film in the MCU besides Iron Man that I will watch just by itself without watching anything leading up to it or after it. I would just watch Captain America: Winter Soldier. The scene with the helicopter. All right. Anyway,
and that's why it's your number one right there. Exactly. All right. Well, Kelsey, we just ranked the entire MCU. How are you feeling?
Oh, so stressed.
It's crazy. I know it's stressful. I can these top 6 for me can rearrange all the time. But if you guys are still here, any of you guys still watching, thank you. I really hope you guys enjoyed us ranking these. It's difficult, but please let us know A, what you thought of our list, but B, let us know your list. We are very much looking forward to hearing from you guys and your opinions on the MCU. I'm very excited to see where the MCU is going. We all love Kevin Feige. Of course, we have Kevin Feige and Stan Lee. Most importantly, Stan Lee to thank for all of these films. An amazing creator, and we truly do miss him. And I miss his cameos in these movies. But he was a true light in this entertainment universe, and he will forever be remembered through his work in the comics and also through his work here on screen. So with that being said, Kelsey, thank you for joining me today. Where can people find you on the social media?
All of my social medias are Kelsey Leigh, Leign, and that's basically it.
Perfect. All right. And you guys can find me, Tyson_H on Instagram. Follow the show, emit1.em on Instagram and TikTok. And please subscribe, share this channel with anybody who loves entertainment content, the MCU, movie reviews, movie trailers. I do Oscar predictions, SAG awards, all that stuff. All award season stuff is also done here on Emit One. So everybody, with that being said, I'm Tyson Honecker. That is Kelsey Leigh. Thank you so much for joining our MCU ranking. We love the MCU here, so please let us know how much you love it. And until next time, I'm Tyson Honecker, guys. I'll catch you on the next one here on Emit One.